My name is Sonia. This is Sonia with an I, and today I am bringing you my September reads and Scooby-Doo wrap-up. Much like the month of September, the Scooby-Doo Readathon did not quite turn out the way I wanted it to. I had planned for it to be September 1st to September 30th, with us having a fun little get-together at the very end of the month, and life happened. Not just for me, but also for some people who were involved with it. So I I am hoping, I apologize first of all for it not running as smoothly as I would have liked it to, but I have so many people to thank. So the very first person I would like to thank is Tiffany the Beach Bum Bookworm. I absolutely treasure our friendship. She was one of my very first YouTubers who talked about cozy mysteries, and for her to just I just said I want to do Scooby-Doo Readathon, and I created some prompts, and she was like, okay, I'm in. And there was no questions. She just completely let me run with it. And she was a wonderful friend. I am so thankful for her. Another person I'd like to thank is Amy Marie. I sent Amy a message and said I would love for you to join this with me. She is a big fan of Scooby-Doo, so I really thought it would just be perfect for her. And to me, she is just the quintessential beautiful Daphne. And she was all in, and she created all the beautiful graphics, and she's just incredible. And she was one of my first YouTubers, so I fangirl a little bit. Tiffany and Amy both. So I'm so thankful for her. And then my friend Storm came in kind of at the last, and she was like, I'll be Shaggy, joined us anyway. And, the invitation was open to everyone. Anyone who wanted to join, the only was that you were to dress like one of the characters and do a introductory video. And she did just that. So Stormy, Amy, Tiffany, thank you from the bottom of my heart from taking this crazy girl's idea and just running with it and really making it so fun and so enjoyable. Thank you. Thank you very much. To all of my friends who participated, you all are the meat and potatoes of this. You are the ones who made it fun, who took it and ran with it and did create different creative things even, and gave me more ideas for next year if I decide to do the Scooby-Doo Readathon. So thank you, all of you. If you participated, if you commented, if you supported, you sent good vibes, you watched an episode of Scooby-Doo, thank you. It meant the world to me. September was tough, and the Scooby-Doo Readathon and the support of all of my friends, all of you, it made it a beautiful experience. So thank you. I apologize that we didn't get to have the celebration at the end. We're still kind of trying to work out maybe doing one later in October, with Scooby-Doo being, Scooby-Doo's Halloween kind of thing, so we thought maybe that would tie in, but so be looking for that. We're going to try our best, but life just keeps happening. Thank you again, friends. You all are amazing, and my cup overfloweth. I don't even know what to say, so thank you for that. So here is my Scooby-Doo Readathon September reading wrap-up. First, now I'm going to have to get my phone for this, because as much as I would love to say I have the memory that's going to remember all of these things, that's not going to happen. So I am going to pull up my Goodreads, because this is how I keep track of everything. The first that I started with, as I'm looking for, the first book that I started with, and I remember this very, very clearly, is I Rolled Daphne. And I was so excited to read Those Meddling Kids. And it did not start off well. Those Meddling Kids, I was so excited to read it because the cover, and it was Scooby-Doo. We're doing the Scooby-Doo Readathon. And it was not for me. To me, it was like some high school guy got really wasted and wrote a book while watching some Scooby-Doo. It took all the things that I loved about Scooby-Doo, the campiness and the fun, and it just deleted all of that, took similarities of the characters, put them in some horrible situations. I did not care for it, so I didn't finish it. I DNF'd it. The first one that I chose was A Dark and Stormy Murder, a Writer's Apprentice Mystery, #1 by Julia Buckley. This was my Velma role because it's a mystery. And this, I loved this. I gave it 4 stars. I was whisked away to this beautiful setting, home and sweet host. It was this cozy mystery was very well written. I loved the MC. The MC was likable, and it was top notch. The MC goes to this author's house to be her ghostwriter, and this is her favorite author. It's like the person she admires the most. And there's of course, you know, she goes to stay with her, and she's just awing over the talent of this wonderful writer. And then, of course, because it's cozy mystery, there's a murder, and it's, you know, this investigation starts up. It takes place on an island, and the descriptions of the island is someplace that I want to go so badly. There was a budding love triangle, but that was snuffed out quickly, which I was really happy. I loved this. I could not put it down. And the only reason that it was a 4-star and not a 5-star, the love triangle, I didn't really care for that. And there were a couple of little things I just didn't love. But I'm telling you, this was a solid 4-star. 4 stars are very good for me. I will continue this series. I really, really enjoyed it. The next book that I read was a Fred roll. It is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I chose this because it had white lettering, and I gave this a 3-star. I was a little bit disappointed in this one. I read Matt Haig's The Midnight Library. It was 5 stars. I couldn't quit talking about it. It was one of my very favorite books. I wanted to tell everyone about the book that I read. Well, I thought How to Stop Time would be like that too, and it was a good book. The main character is someone who has this disease that will not allow them, that makes him almost immortal. Like he ages very, very slowly. So he's like 300 or 400 years old, and he's going through time, and he is searching for someone who's also like him. But it starts at the beginning of his life and how he met his wife, and then, you know, of course, because he's almost immortal and she isn't, you know, there's death there. And he is just this very sad, melancholy man. And it takes place more in modern times, and he is a teacher, and he teaches Shakespeare, but he actually knew Shakespeare and worked with Shakespeare. So it was a lot of this back and forth kind of time travel-y, timey-wimey kind of thing, which I enjoyed. But I found some of it was depressing. It was so sad. It was just like he was so melancholic. And I get it. He's depressed. He misses the love of his life. You know, being a teacher is thankless. And I don't know. I just could not love it. I liked it. I thought it was a good story. I thought that it was interesting. I like how some things kind of turned to play. You know, the Shakespeare stuff to me was interesting. I gave it a solid 3 stars. I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was great. So my next was another Velma roll. It's Pulp Friction by Julianne Lindsay. It's part of the Cider Shop Mysteries #2. In this story, we're back with Winnie and the family farm, and are in the family orchard, sorry. And she is, her ex is basically being accused of murder, and she is kind of hiding him out and trying to help him, even though he's a horrible person. He really is a jerk. I would not have helped him. But it was a very typical Julianne Lindsay book. You could not tell me who the author is, and I can always tell Julianne Lindsay's work. And I mean this the biggest compliment. I gave this book 4 stars. I enjoy Julianne Lindsay's writing. Julianne Lindsay, though, is also a romantic suspense author, and she makes it very clear in her cozy mysteries, which is wonderful. What a wonderful skill to have. I'm not really a romance person, as you know, because I say it all the time, but I always enjoy her books. But I will tell you, she definitely has telltale signs. And I mean this in the most complimentary way. I love Julianne Lindsay. Her main characters are always strong, hard-headed, tenacious women who always get a lot of male attention, but don't really feel like they deserve it. The male interest is usually very alpha, very cop, very strongly against female sleuthing because the little woman may hurt herself, and often has a traumatic past. The ex is usually self-absorbed, very messy, very into himself, very charismatic, and very likable to others, unless you've dated him. And he's also very attractive. Supported characters are usually elderly, sassy, and some sort of caretaker. Bestie is always wonderfully supportive and a very strong female, and everyone in the community loves her. The animals are always cute with witty names and personalities. The mystery is full of suspense and twists and turns, and usually the murder has an emotional involvement in it. Like the murderer is emotionally attached to or going through something. The MC is always gets in a dire situation right at the end, and the male love interest always comes with his big arms and saves her. That's a Julian Lindsay story, and that's pretty much what happened in this. I love this. I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It is very fall. It is very cozy. I do miss Granny, and I wanted more Cider Shop. To me, this felt very like almost love triangle-y, like the ex and the new guy, and there was a lot of relationshipy talk, and I don't love that in my cozies, but I do enjoy this one. So I gave it 4 stars, and it was the second in the Cider Shop if I did not say this. The next one I read was The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. This was a Fred roll. I chose it because the boy has a basketball and he has a white shirt on. I was like, huh, Fred. So this, by James McBride, this book takes place in 1972 when workers in Pottstown, Pennsylvania were digging the foundations for a new housing development. The last thing expected to uncover was a human skeleton. Who the skeleton was and how it got buried there was just the long-held secrets that had been kept for decades by the residents of Chicken Hill, a dilapidated neighborhood where immigrant Jews and African Americans lived side by side, sharing ambition and sorrows. So there are many characters in this, and Chana and Moshe were the Jewish characters that you follow. And then the African American characters were also a big part of it. And one of the children, there was a deaf child, and he had a nickname, and I can't remember it, but he was institutionalized. And I will say, I gave this book 3 stars. And honestly, probably 2.5, 3 stars. This was the kind of book that I felt like I should read for information, for empathy, to enlighten myself in other cultures and history. But I really found myself struggling to tether to a character that I loved a lot, except the deaf boy. And the deaf boy went through absolute horrors and nightmares, and it was disturbing, and like I'm talking almost Precious by Sapphire level disturbing. And the rest of the characters, I mean, I liked Moshe, and I liked Chandra, I think was her name, but it bounced around so much. Like there would be another character thrown in, like Chicken Legs or somebody, and they all had nicknames. I just kind of found it hard to follow, and I felt like I should have been more empathetic to these characters. And I was, as I said earlier, I was struggling to tether to someone. So I gave it 2.5 stars, and I finished it. I almost DNF'd it, but I finished it because I felt like it was something I should read. And it didn't give me, I guess, what I was looking for. The next one I read was a Velma roll, Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop, a Halloween bookshop mystery, #1 by Emmeline Duncan. Emmeline Duncan also writes the Ground Rules coffee cozy, which I love the first 3 and the 4th fell short, but I enjoy her writing. I gave this one 4 stars. This is a really super cute, whimsical book that is very atmospheric. It gives me a lot of like Alice in Wonderland a little bit. Like I can feel that in it. It's Bailey Briggs is the main character, and she loves her Halloween themed town. So it's a Halloween themed town. And when she takes over her grandfather's beloved Lazy Bones bookshop, she accidentally discovers the town's dark side. Normally, spooky season is Bailey Briggs's favorite time of year and her Halloween-themed small town's time to shine. But between managing Lazy Bones books, working on a graphic novel in progress, and running the spooky season literary festival, Bailey hardly has a moment to enjoy Elian Hollow's spot-on seasonal vibes. As well, it's Bailey in turn finds a dead body, of course she does, and she has to clear her name with the help of her library friend Colby and Jack Skellington, the world-class dog, which I thought it was so cute and clever. I love that. Bailey sets out to solve a murder. I thought this was cute. It is very Halloween. Like, if you were looking for all the vibes, all the Halloween vibes, it's there. I liked Jack. I didn't find, like, even as I'm talking about it right now, I didn't find it real memorable, like the mystery or really too much about the story. I just remember how it made me feel. And it was very Halloween. I think everybody is reading this book or has read it, but I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. The next one I read was my Shaggy Roll. It was Kneaded to Death, a bread shop mystery by Winnie Archer. I said it was Shaggy, but I think it's Scooby. It is a Scooby roll because it had a pug on the front of it. My book had a pug on the front of it. I don't know if the one up here, it does. I had the larger print book. But this is a bread shop mystery #1. I gave this 4 stars. 4 stars are cheap for me in September, I guess. This is about Ivy Culpepper is the main character's name. I had to look for a second. I am so not good with names. Ivy Culpepper, it goes back to her hometown. Her mother had passed in an accident. Her mother was a teacher. And she is kind of seeking some therapy and learning how to bake bread at Yeast of Eden, this cute little, I believe it's a Mexican bread shop, and she's taking a bread class, and one of the participants in the bread class ends up being murdered, and there's an investigation, of course, and Ivy is trying to figure this out, and she ends up running into an ex-boyfriend, the one who broke her heart and got away, and they end up kind of, getting to know each other again, and and there's lots of bread talk, which I love. Baking bread is one of my favorite things to do because I don't think anything smells like yeast. I love the smell of yeast, and I love the whole process of it. So all of the process is conscious. They mentioned is the recipe in here, and I definitely want to make conscious. And I just realized you can see me here. Nice. Okay. Anyway, real life, guys. Anyway, I really like this one. I did give it 4 stars, another 4-star this year. And I do plan to move on to the next book. My good friend Amy and Tiffany both really like this series, so I trust them, and I'm going to give that one another try. The next one on my list was another Velma roll. It was the Cider Shop Rules. This was #3 in the Cider Shop Mystery. This was the 3rd and final book of the Cider Shop. Has Winnie in it. I felt like this one was probably, I gave it 4 stars as well, but I think it was kind of my least favorite of the 3. It was very, very, very romance heavy. There was even kind of a love triangle between brothers. I think I missed Granny. I missed the apple ciders. I missed the cats. I missed all the things I loved about #1. I just felt like that kind of that it just wasn't as prevalent as it was. It wasn't as prevalent as it was in the first, and they just kind of, there was lots of romance. It was very Harlequin romancy to me. The author is super witty. Julian Lindsay is super witty. I chuckled out loud. There were spots in it I did love, but I think I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars at the end. And it finished out the series. That was the last in the series. The next one I read was a Fred roll. It was a Mystery Machine roll because it is Death on Deck by Courtney Bradley. And this was my first 5-star of September. You all, I loved this book. I loved this book. It is such a fun and interesting mystery. I loved the cruising crew. It was a group of older ladies who have been friends since they were teens, and they do all of these things together, and they're not giving up on life, and they're living life to the fullest. And they decide to go on this cruise, and they go on this cruise, and they're having the time of their lives. And then of course there's a murder, and they get together and they investigate it and kind of unravel some other things as well. This group of ladies were so intriguing. I don't usually like cruise cozies. Cruises to me they make me feel a little claustrophobic. And when I read a cruise cozy or cruise book, I start to kind of feel that a little bit. But this one was just out. It was a home run. The author did an incredible job describing like the descriptive language and creating atmosphere, and describing every little thing. Like there's a little touch of romance in this, but it's done well. And she's talking about this gentleman who smiles and the crinkles around his eyes, and I can just visualize that so well. I loved it so much. I love the MC. The main character is so relatable and so, like, I just wanted to hug her. The story kept me engaged. Like, I listened to this and I could not put it down. Like, I couldn't wait to get to bed so I could listen to the story more, and I made myself stay up a little later so I could read more of it. That's a good story. That is a really good story. This is a first book in the series. I really hope there's more. Courtney Bradley is also the protagonist on YouTube, and girl, you knocked it out the park. Amazing. 5 stars. My first 5-star read of September. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was a great book. My next read was my Scooby-Doo roll. It was Somewhere Beyond the Sea, the Cerulean Chronicles #2 by T.J. Klune. This is a continuance of A House in the Cerulean Sea, which was my favorite book of 2022. And it is the story of, it's told more from Arthur's point of view than Linus's, but it is the story of Linus and Arthur together and how they are running their home that is filled with dangerous magical children. And this house it's a magical house. There's magical children, and they're trying to protect their magical children because people are trying to create laws to hurt those children and not allow them to live the life that they want to live or they could live, and trying to label them as something that they're not. And the story is basically about that fight and how Arthur and Linus in their partnership work together to create a family for the children that nobody wants. Y'all, I loved House in the Cerulean Sea, and for a little bit I struggled with this one because I thought, okay, do I love this one because I loved House in the Cerulean Sea? I love the kids, I love the characters, but I rate based on my experience. I loved every bit of this that I read. I love those kids. Oh my goodness, I love those kids. It touches my teacher's heartstrings. It just really made me feel so happy and so much joy. And I ended my September with this book, and it was also 5 huge stars. September wasn't really all that bad as far as reading goes. I didn't read as much as I normally do with so much going on. I just, I didn't always have the brain to read. I usually say when I'm just on the struggle bus, but I don't feel like it did so bad. And I had, average 4-5-star reads. I mean, who can complain about that? I discovered, a new series that I'm absolutely loving. I read a book I've been really anticipating with The House in the Cerulean Sea. So I'm very pleased with my September reads. What did you read in September? Did you participate in the Scooby-Doo Readathon? Did you enjoy it? Would you do it again? Please let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. I have some things I want to tweak and play with a little bit, but I think the Scooby-Doo Readathon in my book was a success. And if people are having fun and reading books and building community, that's what I'm all about, and that's what I'm here for. So thanks again. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. If you have not yet subscribed, please do. I try to post videos at least once a week with a bookish, cozy content. You make the world a better place just by being a part of it. I appreciate you and I thank you. And until next time, happy reading. Goodbye now.